Like when I got out, I was living at my friend who's still locked up. He's a juvenile lifer, and he sued the state on him. He's finally getting a parole hearing. But his sister, he gave me a cot at the bottom of the stairs of her basement, and it wasn't even a room. It was just a cot, and I took a 2-hour bus ride to a minimum wage job scrubbing tables and chairs. And that was the best I could do. And I ended up enrolling in college, ended up putting on a play that I had written on the inside, did like an art exhibit. The only place where I had any sense of I'm valuable, I'm a good person, or I'm wanted out here was with an organization like Vote up in Providence, Rhode Island. I could go from scrubbing tables and chairs and being harassed by my parole officer about whether or not I got the $28.50, you know, and have this bracelet on my ankle. And then I could go to a meeting, and then all of a sudden, like, we're sitting there talking to the Speaker of the House about legislation. Meanwhile, I'm just this minimum wage guy who just got out of jail for this violent stuff. Actually, you know, I kind of happen to have this on me. I was bringing this home. So this, you know, the people that are so scary and so terrible and so don't belong in our society, how'd I get two of these from the governor? Wow. If I'm so bad and scary and terrible. One's the voting rights bill, and the other was just general for the justice reinvestment stuff last year. You know, and like we're down here, we're doing all kinds of stuff, and it's amazing that rather than think, I wonder who else is behind bars, I wonder who else we might let out to do cool stuff. It's, no, we don't need more of that. You know, let's keep all the bad people in. And there's amazing people in there, and those of us who've been there know all kinds of skills and hearts and minds, and it's a shame that we get so hung up on that one day, you know, that one bad day, and we have no forgiveness, no redemption. And for those of us that are feeling that way, we don't have a sense that there is a path to redemption, and that we'll die of pariah. You know, staying in touch with all the guys and realizing how much easier it is just to go sell drugs and stay off the radar. You know, they make it so hard just to try to do the right thing, and the society just wants to keep on applying the pressure. And so, like, my punishment in some ways upped when I got out. Because when I was in, I was a community leader. I was beloved by everybody for the most part. I was that neutral guy between all the gangs. Spoke a couple languages, did the legal stuff. Had problems with the guards, you know, but at some point you get older and grayer and they don't care so much. But, you know, I get out and all of a sudden everybody felt the need to judge me. Everyone felt the need to sort of weigh in and decide whether or not I was worthy of living in their society. And it's like, we live in this hypercritical hateration nation, and it's a real challenge. So like me going to Tulane was a national story. There wasn't a single tweet even that I graduated. National story that I was going to school. Yeah. But to get a diploma with my daughter, it was really cute scene. She had an outfit that looked just like mine with a purple thing and a hat, and she got the diploma from the dean on the stage, and everyone in that class was not scared. Yeah. They were just bummed out that my kid looked cuter than they did. But like, so point made, like people would even say like, did you end up graduating? Like people didn't even know, but they all knew that I went. And of that group that I mentioned that I got locked up, it was a couple hundred of us around the similar age bracket, charged with the same type of crime. Of course, all individual circumstances. And about half of them are out now. Some got life sentences. During our time, you were eligible for 15 years. Some got 10 years. I got the 20 to serve, but a lot got like 20 to 40. And about half are out, like I said. Not a single one has gone back for a violent crime. I think maybe 2 went back. One guy had like some weed. Another guy was like riding with some dude, you know, like just some of that stuff that's going to happen. But out of like 100 people, there's some great dads. There's a lot of college diplomas. There's home ownership. There's rings on fingers that I can't seem to get, but you know, there's a lot of church attendance and things of that nature, and just a lot of us are Facebook friends, and we see each other here and there, business owners and stuff. And the interesting thing is, At one point, while I was there, the parole, it used to be at 10, it had gone to 15, and then they made it up to 20, and then it went up to 25 just after I got out. And then they wanted to jack it up to 30, and at this point I was an advocate, and I went to court, and it was just this like steamroll. They were going to move life sentence parole up to 30, and used this guy, Freddie Bishop, as, guy held up the thing, and Freddie Bishop had gotten out at like around age 63 years old or something. He was a mob hitman and had killed people in prison. And they let him go, and people weren't really sure why. We called him Crabapple. He was one of the worst individuals that I knew in prison. And they let him out after like 35 years or something. He went through this whole rigmarole, and they used him, just like Carrie was mentioning, as sort of the one case. Now keep in mind, all my guys got out at like 28, 32, 35 years old or something. And here's Freddie Bishop's going to destroy it for the rest of us. And so I said, so you want the parole to go up to 30 years, right? And talked about all these guys that I would love to watch my kid be uncle to my daughter, do all the amazing things that I know they're going to do. And I was like, Freddie Bishop still would have been eligible under your big inflated regime. And not a single person in maximum security, medium security would ever let Freddie Bishop out on parole. If you had us on the parole board, he never would have got out. So you need to revise your whole way you look at this stuff. And it didn't go up that time. So one time it didn't go up, and they left it down. And I think that we need to share our stories, but we also need people to help us share our stories. And we need people to stand beside us when we're being courageous enough to take on the target and take the arrows. And it hurts when nobody's standing next to you.
The population that I serve, which is sex offenders, when the flood happened and the homes got all flooded and I had to move them out to my office, I didn't realize how my neighbors truly feel about sex offenders. And they actually called and said they couldn't stay there. And I said, you don't understand. They don't have anywhere else to go unless they're going to go back to jail. That's not happening on my watch. They haven't did anything to commit a crime. That was an act of God. So what are you to say that? And so I had to really, look at this whole thing and say, they wanted them to actually stay inside, not come out on the porch all day long. I couldn't understand that. So I had to just really go down and sit down and talk with her, because what they do, they lump them all in the same pot, and that's not so. And I've been doing this on October 3rd, 21 years. And yes, there's some bad, and there's some good. But through the years that I've been, there's only been 2 people under my watch that have reoffended. And they were flashers. And not saying that flashers is right, but it's still a crime in the state of Louisiana. But I'm talking about thousands of people. I'm not talking about 1 or 2.
Well, listening to you talk about your experience, it got me thinking along different lines. People's reactions to that. I don't want them, can you keep them inside, that sort of thing. I started to ask myself the question, I wonder if it's less about, so if I'm calling you up and saying keep those folks off your porch, I wonder if my reasoning for that would not be keep them off your porch because I'm afraid they're going to do something to my kids. Keep them off your porch because I'm afraid they're going to do something to my neighbor's kids. Keep them off your porch because I'm afraid of them and what is inherently in them that is maybe going to get out and spill into my world. What if I was considering the possibility that my fear would be based on a lack of trust in the system that sort of certified by their release they're okay and they're sort of safe now. It has nothing to do about the person and whether or not they're actually, nothing inherent about the person. It's a reflection of a distrust of the system. If I truly believed that the system was capable of, that when someone came out from behind the wall, if I truly believed in the system that was behind the wall, then I wouldn't have any fear. I wouldn't worry about them living next door. I wouldn't worry about reoffending. I wouldn't. And so I wondered if that line of thought was beneficial in any way, because we were talking about ideas before and things.
No, I think that's actually a really good point. Chico says I'm sending someone down to work with you. My level of receptiveness is going to be based on my relationship with Chico. And if I'm like, you know what, Chico's never sent someone down to work with me who hasn't worked out. But if I'm like, I don't know, Chico's always on the porch, kind of drinking a little bit, didn't really vet this person, gave me a name, and I think that probably more people around the state kind of take the second Chico than the first Chico in terms of the system.